Yo, the Kate Bush epic music was so dope.
It was cool. I love the synthwave always as well.
He loves the Babu synth.
But
What is going on, fellow streamers? Welcome into another episode of StreamerSZN, the exclusive TV and movie podcast for streaming platforms on the Underground Sports Philadelphia Podcast Network. It's KB and Dylan coming at you from Underground Studios. We let you know we were going to be recording this episode on a Saturday because we had to go run up a hill and catch Stranger Things Volume 2. We're kicking the show off with that. And of course, we'll dive into Ms. Marvel Episode 4 and then everything you need to know going on in the streaming platform Multiverse. But Stranger Things Volume 2 has dropped. We're going to be spending a lot of time on this show, even after we review both of the episodes from Volume 2, just because of how popular and how much of a driving force that show is for everybody. So strap in, Stranger Things fans. We got a lot coming for you. But before we get started, make sure you're following us on the socials at StreamerSZN on Twitter, Instagram. Follow Dylan on Twitter at Dylan Mazzola. Follow me at KBIZZL311. Check out the website, undergroundsportsphiladelphia.com. Pat Pitts is going to start doing Westworld reviews for us, post Westworld episodes on Sundays, so that'll be very, very fun content there. For the people who don't know, Pat's brother is an executive producer on Westworld, so got a little inside scoop there.
I hope Pat's extra critical will be even more hilarious. Tonight's episode sucks.
It's just an episode his brother helped create.
Yeah, that's what I'm waiting for.
So make sure you check out the website, undergroundsportsphiladelphia.com. Subscribe to the podcast feed, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Leave the 5-star ratings and reviews wherever you get your podcasts. And Dylan, what should they be leaving in those reviews?
In those reviews, they should be leaving recommendations on what Kyle and I should be watching next. We are not limited to any streaming platform. I say this each time. We'll do Netflix, Hulu, etc. Just pass them on down. We obviously just watched Netflix to see the crazy season finale of Stranger Things, and we can watch anything else. So let us know. We really don't care what you recommend us, even if it's crazy, because we won't know it's crazy until you recommend it. So
big facts. And something you might consider crazy, Dylan and I might consider weird, bad, good, or in between, or
well,
it might be something you think is bad, and Dylan and I love it.
Yeah, it's true. Very true.
So definitely leave your show and movie recommendations in the podcast reviews, and also leave them down below in the comment section on YouTube. Subscribe to the Underground Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel. You just got to search Underground Sports Philadelphia in the search bar, because we don't have that custom URL yet, because we need 1,000 subscribers to be eligible for that. So go subscribe to the YouTube channel, smash the like button, click the bell icon, and comment down below with your shows and movies you're watching, your thoughts on Stranger Things, spoiler-free for a little bit. We don't want to spoil anybody. I know a lot of people getting spoiled out there. Be smart. Don't get spoiled. How you're feeling about Ms. Marvel and everything in between down in the YouTube comment section. Big thank you to our sponsors who make this show happen. Tomahawk Shades. Those blue light glasses come in clutch when you're binging your favorite shows and movies. Go to tomahawkshades.com and you can get your prescription lenses in your blue light glasses now as well. And when you use our code USP at checkout, you get 25% off your order at tomahawkshades.com, the best small batch eyewear in the game. That's promo code USP for 25% off your order at tomahawkshades.com. Kenwood Beer, Dylan's favorite beverage of choice when he's heading to the Upside Down to go fight Vecna. Go to kenwoodbeer.com and use the Kenny tracker to see who's got Kenwood Beer on tap in the Philadelphia area. You got to be 21 or older to do so, and of course, please drink responsibly. And Bino Board, you gotta take a breather after the events of Stranger Things Volume 2. Play a little Bino. Go to binoboard.com. That's BINHOBOARD.com. And use code BINOUSP for 10% off your order at binoboard.com. Dylan, let's get into it. The second volume of Season 4, Stranger Things, has come. It has arrived, and my oh my, was it a wild one. Should we do like what we did for all of Volume 1 and just break down Episode 8 here for the people, and then Wednesday, we'll go out with a giant bang for the 2-hour and 23-minute finale.
I mean, that makes the most sense. It also gives people a chance if they haven't watched it yet, because it just came out. And let's be real, unless you put time aside, like, it is kind of hard to watch like 4 hours of content. Like, I forgot how long it was, and my buddy came over, like my brother, my buddy, and I watched it. And my buddy works really early in the morning. Like, he works 6 a.m., 7 a.m. today. So he watched it yesterday, and my man downed cup after cup of coffee, and he was struggling. So my point is, if you work Saturdays, if you got a busy schedule, it definitely was hard to fit it all in.
Yeah, so we kick off where the whole season began, pretty much, with episode 8, titled Papa, and it, cuts back to 11, sending 1 into the Upside Down, and Brenner walking in and seeing 11 and all the massacred children and everything, and dropping that "what have you done" line. And then we continue to see what happens, and 11 kind of falls into a coma, and then we get a lot more context from that scene. And I thought that was brilliantly done, because I was like, okay, what happens after that? When we saw that scene and then we see what happens in the finale of Volume 1, what does Brenner think actually happened? You see 11, drop down into her coma, and I thought that was like a perfect little bow on that entire sequence.
I enjoyed that. I had that same thought too, and I realized, and I was like, oh wait, he knows what happens, because he had everything. What she was seeing, like the memories she was going through, like we were witnessing with her, were through security camera footage, and so my point is, he had the lab decked out with cameras, so he saw Mr. Number 1 go around and murk children. But from a show standpoint, you don't necessarily know that yet. So I like how it's leading it to, it's showing you okay, well, he did see this with his own eyes. He's not not going crazy. So I did like that as well.
And then we cut to Nancy still being in the Upside Down, going through the trials and tribulations of Vecna, and continuing to see everything going on in his mind. We see Henrik Creel getting his tattoo for the first time. We see a young Brenner, and Brenner then addresses Nancy by name, and you already know that's Vecna coming through. And then the whole sequence kind of breaks down where Vecna shows Nancy what is going to come and what's going to be of Hawkins. Straps her down to really take it all in, and gets a whole flashing sequence of everything. And I saw a good theory about this.
About why Nancy everything?
Why he showed Nancy everything. And
to say, what do you think? I mean, it's a great mind reading me, Kyle. Are you Vecna? No. I was gonna be I'm sure everyone listening, what was the significance of him revealing his mastermind plan to Nancy? Before you go, the only thing I thought is because Max was still kind of pre-marked as a victim, so maybe he doesn't like changing his, you know what I mean? Once he sets eyes on you, kind of like a Freddy Krueger thing, he wants you. That, I don't know. So
I don't know if this is true, but I think this is the smartest theory on why Nancy didn't get murked by Vecna. Obviously Vecna is an egomaniac. Loves to hear himself talk, loves to, project everything. But also, Nancy's a journalist, and she's going to go put the story out there and let everybody know what's going on. And Vecna knows that, so he's going to use, the mouthpiece to get his story out there. That's and smart. Tell the news of what's going to happen. And I loved that kind of interpretation of why Nancy didn't die.
That makes the most sense. I guess you could also, on that limelight, you could also say she's the most intelligent from the group. So Vecna, being a super sentient, intelligent being, chooses, like Kyle just said, the woman who is a journalist and is intelligent and will spread his story across the land. So that makes 112%. Because before that, that's the one thing I didn't pick up on that. That's a good catch. I was just why is he choosing her to be and this is my room. This whole stuff happened. Vecna was on the episode of MTV Cribs, showing her his whole life story.
Hello, MTV. Welcome to my crib.
Nancy Wheeler, look at it all.
Yeah, I thought that was a really cool interpretation where it's like, here's all the clues. Now use your investigative journalist brain to put it all together. And then we cut to Nancy kind of breaking down everything she saw to, the crew that's in Hawkins, describing that she saw 4 growing gates all ripping the town open. A few things begin to click for the crew. She said she saw monsters being led by one giant monster with a gaping mouth. And then, he showed Nancy her mom, Holly, Mike, but not her dad. That was hilarious to me.
Did she not say her dad was in that image?
No, she said, and then he showed me my mom and Holly and Mike, and then it just cut to like more conversation from everybody else. She did not mention her dad.
So Vecna literally killed her and her entire family and left the dad alive. He was like, "Nah, you're already brain dead, homie."
Where's the FBI?
The dad's gonna be a villain next season? Question mark.
So then Max points out that Vecna's clock always chimes 4 times before killing, and Nancy said, "Yeah, I heard the same thing. He's been telling us his plan the whole time." Then they realize that if Vecna's looking to make 4 separate gates, he just has to make 4 kills, and they've already made 3. And
you knew,
man,
getting murked.
So instead of losing hope and declaring Vecna an unbeatable force of evil, knowing that he is also 1 and like 11, it gives them an advantage, and Dustin reminds them that when 11 is traveling in her mind, she enters a trance-like state and her physical body is completely vulnerable. They also know that when Vecna kills, he goes into the upside-down Creel House attic, the Creel House, and he must be in a trance, and if they can be there when he's in that trance attacking his 4th victim, they would have an actual shot at killing him. The obstacle is that they have no idea when Vecna will go after his 4th victim. I loved the splicing of this scene too, when Dustin's talking about 11 going into, mind travel, and then you see 11 actually traveling like that, because she's in that bathroom in the Nina Project room looking for everybody. The way they kind of have paralleled everything going on all at once throughout this season, since there's 4 different sectors, I think was so well done.
4 is the magic.
4. So then that's when Max volunteers as bait, as she says she's still marked by Vecna. She'll go to the Creel House, turn off the Kate Bush, and taunt him until he puts her under his curse again. And once that happens, Vec nerd. The crew's going into the Upside Down, knows when it's safe to head into the attic and attack. And, when Max said that, I was just like, oh god, not Max again. She barely escaped last time.
Yeah. I don't know why this is going to sound like the most 19 or like early 60s, 70s government. I don't know why they didn't just like basically pick a couple unfortunate military personnel and say, Kyle, Dylan, you're going to go in this weird upside down and we're going to close the gate forever. And you're going to be like, what? And we're going to be like, yep, you're bringing this giant payload and we're going to detonate a bomb and wipe out all the demodogs because their weakness is fire. So why not just go in there and detonate a large bomb? Show's over. I guess the...
Oh, I think you're muted.
I got lost in the upside down there for a second.
The KGB heard you.
Called my phone and it like went.
The KGB heard you talking about the upside down and said, The
Duffer Brothers heard my plan. They're like, this kid's too smart. He's gonna end the show early.
Oh man. And then Max talks about how Vecna uses the darkest memories possible, and she's gonna go into one of her happy memories. And then Lucas asks if he was in one of those memories, and Max is like, "It's pretty presumptuous of you, but yeah, you might have been there." The rekindling of romances in this season is electric.
Very prevalent, right? Like the whole rekindling of anything.
So then you have the crew. They got to figure out how to go out and do everything, and they're going to the war zone.
What the fuck? They keep trying to take. I'm being censored. All right, we're good now.
They got to go find some weapons though to take on Vecna. So Eddie says, "We got to go to the war zone, Dylan."
Vec nerd.
With fake Rambo and a bunch of guns and a bunch of grenades, and Robin asks, "How is this even legal?" And Eddie goes, "Well, it is." Hilarious that he's like, we got to avoid some angry hicks and the cops, and Erica's like, "If we're trying to avoid angry hicks, shouldn't we not be going to the place with all the weapons?"
Dude, that was a great line. That scene also, when they leave, we'll talk about it in a second. When they leave that store, though, they go to the gun store and they leave with like nothing. I was so pissed.
And then, meanwhile, out in Nevada, 11, she's back, baby. She lifts up that Nina tank that's 10,000 pounds up in the goddamn air, according to Dr. Owens, like with ease. And at that moment, I was like, all right, we're ready to rock and roll. 11's ready to go save the world again.
Yeah, she hit him with that Wingardium Leviosa.
And then, as it always does throughout the first 4 seasons of Stranger Things, the pendulum swings one way and then back the other way for Dr. Brenner, where at one point you think he's an okay dude, and then, he's a villain. And then it swings back, and it's like, oh, maybe he means well. Well, in Volume 2, it swung back, the pendulum, to him being just a not so great guy.
Not so great guy. But I would argue he was what you would deem a necessary evil.
Yes, 100% agree.
Because he was needed for the plot, and also, unfortunately, whether you hate to admit it or not, he did develop 11. So, granted, he also caused a lot of things. But my point is, necessary evil. It's an interesting character.
Yes. And when Owens and Brenner give her the full rundown of everything that's been happening, Brenner goes full blown, scare tactics mode, snaps a pencil in her face. Everything going on in Hawkins.
It's got no chill, bro. Like, your world is gonna go like this.
When she hears that what they're up to, she immediately wants to go to Hawkins to help her friends, and to have any shot against Vecna, they'll need her, and she knows it. But Dr. Brenner doesn't want her to leave yet. Her training's not done. In order to beat Henry Creel, he says, you've got to be able to fly, 11. And I feel like that was a little foreshadowing of some things we might see in season 5.
Her flying, possibly?
Possibly. Dr. Brenner, just a full-blown liar. He says that 11's not ready to face Vecna. They need to keep working until he deems her prepared enough. And Dr. Owens reminds his colleague that this isn't a prison, and 11 is free to come and go as she pleases. But then Brenner turns around and has Owen handcuffed to a pipe and locks 11 in a room with him. And, you see 11 say, "Fuck you, Papa." And it's like, "I'm going to kill you if you prevent me from leaving." She blasts open that door, and then Papa goes, tink, right to the neck.
If you watch that, you can see it. Actually, the writers, you're able to see him holding it before he even, lunges at her. Like, when it cuts away to her first opening the door, you can just see it in his hand like this. And I'm like, he's going to stab her with the syringe. And Tyler and Caleb were like, "What's the radio?" And I'm like, "No, I know what that is.
I've seen that before.
I've seen it. I'm not crazy." Also, I won't say it because we're possibly not covering episode 9 today, but I will say that Dr. Brenner is a poop head, and she was definitely ready, but he also wasn't wrong because we learned that she wasn't really ready as well. So
Yeah,
is it
100%.
once again, even post death,
Necessary evil.
the man is wrong but also right off very often.
Um, so then 11, gets all woozy and faints. Brenner falls down when, her powers stop working because she's unconscious. And then we get the worst character of all time coming through as the government has located the Nina Project. And we find that out because of none other than Argyle, who sees the giant tracks as, our California crew is
Nothing
out in the
beats the
desert.
stoner character intuition in like a horror sci-fi like action film when the everyone else that's sober and supposed to be like right-minded is like, and then the person that's blitzed out of their minds is like, dude.
These aren't no normal tracks.
Yeah,
These are thick.
Viper, right? He said her Fang or whatever.
So then we see the military show up, and my goodness, as if you couldn't hate the Colonel even more. I just want to call him Colonel Douchebag because the
Douchebag is
worst.
probably not the term. I also don't think he's operating under the guise of the full military jurisdiction because there was a pretty small amount of troops in his little band of misfits. Like it was what, like 3, 4 Humvees and then a helicopter. So realistically, that wasn't like a lot. Granted, it's the same thing with the Brenner group, but that's where it got confusing because the Brenner group,
Yeah.
military war MP, and I don't know if you know, but MP stands for military police.
Okay.
So it's like, would we just watch two factions of the United States Army like just kill each other, or did they also leave their job and then go work for Brenner,
Right.
like they said about the scientists? But then, if you left your job, why would you keep the outfit of the job you left of the military? So that was a little plot hole in terms of like they haven't really specified what the colonel is part of, but not unrealistic because in real life the CIA and the military, even like recently, have almost killed each other multiple times because they don't work together. So that's kind of the vibe I got. But the whole outfit thing and the time period, I'm like, what is going on here?
So 11's got like a shot collar on that we saw on 2 earlier this season.
It definitely works. Can confirm. You can ask 2.
Yes.
Well, you can ask me more. But.
Sorry, 2.
Yeah.
But she's got the shot collar on, and I was just like, see, this is why you don't do this shit, Brenner, because when you need 11 the most, you can't use her right now because you done goofed. So then Brenner is, going in to get 11. She's like, what's going on? He's like, they've come to kill you. And then he escapes out of, the hatch up top, and then the helicopter starts murking at Dr. Brenner. And it's the beginning of the end for old Papa.
Murking it, but at the same time, that helicopter sniper sucked.
Yeah, he was pretty bad.
Like, kid, I was watching it with Caleb. It served time in the military, and he was like, "This guy fucking sucks."
That guy had so many misses; it wasn't even funny.
Like, good for us, or else the show would be over a little bit sooner. But I was like, "Damn, bro!"
Yeah, he must have been new on the job.
It's his first day.
It's only my 3rd day out here. I don't know.
They gave me a sniper rifle. I don't know what I'm doing.
But then he lands the inevitable kill shot on Brenner as 11, chucks forward out of his hands, and he tries to crawl away. But he gets murked, and then we see Surfer Boy Pizza Truck coming on in, and Dr. Owens is inside with Colonel Douchebag trying to negotiate everything, and saying that he can put 11 in an induced coma.
And how predictable. I mean, it's not a bad thing, but we all knew what Colonel Douchebag was going to say on that radio.
Yeah.
We knew he wasn't going to go save her.
And I love how the arc of these 2 episodes is, you son of a bitch.
Yeah, true.
So then they get the green light trying to shoot 11, but she disappears because the brochachos are there. And then 11, still able to use her powers because the shot collar was not activated, sends that helicopter spinning, kind of like the fan on top of Dylan's head. That's what the helicopter eventually
Hey
looked
yo,
like.
that's my fan, bro.
That's called Easter eggs. Uh, but that was hilarious. That she's just spinning the helicopter, and they have zero control over what's going on.
Yeah, sucks for the guy. For rough first day of the job. It's okay. He won't have to work ever again.
So then the helicopter falls, crashes, things go boom. Now,
took out the fees. It's an important thing to note. So she left them stranded in the desert. She purposely, or I think she did purposely, in my opinion. She crashed the helicopter onto all the convoy.
Yeah.
Zombies.
Now, the big question I have, the helicopter did not hit the door entrance to where the Nina project was, did it?
Even if it did, remember there was a separate way of egress. That's where Dr. Brenner came out, and also I think even if it did hit the door, I'm not sure about physics, but that door looks sturdy. So
they were all underground anyway. I'm curious what happens to Owens.
Owens is probably, well, it depends. If they didn't kill him before what we see happen at the end of 9, then Owens probably gets a moment of you dumbass.
Yeah, I assume he's still alive.
And then he comes back in season 5, probably in charge of what we get left off in number 9.
Especially since when he was sitting with 11 at the diner, he mentioned a war's about to happen.
And if what I joked about, if they go Chernobyl, talking in code, because they haven't talked about it yet, for number 9, I think if Owens is still alive, then I think Colonel and his men get stuck on wall duty as punishment. You're laughing because it's true. It could be true.
That'd be hilarious. Yeah, I think Owens is still alive. Especially since that was underground and everything too.
All sides him being alive, there was no reason. His men they were turning away after he said take the shot, so it insinuated they were going to go into the surface.
Yeah.
So they're probably walking up the stairs as they heard all of their shit blow up.
Yeah.
Or elevator.
So we get the Humvees blowing up, and then we get this moment of kind of clarity between Brenner and 11. Brenner trying to swing the pendulum back, saying everything he did for her was in her best interest. He's saying she's family, and it's no, buddy. You tried to convince her that you were looking for the Soviets, but you were actually looking for Henry Creel. Which was the craziest kind of plot dump, I think, of tying every season together. Is they were using 11 as a spy to go find the OG version of her, which you wouldn't have ever known until obviously this season. But I thought that was a wild way to kind of really conceptualize what they have been doing the whole time.
Yeah, it's nuts. It's a whole, you thought she was some weapon against the Red Menace, the Red threat. But in reality, she was just even more a project of a man who was concerned only that of his own ego and self-achievements. Literally looking for a part of him, basically, because he viewed the children as I don't want to say pets, because I even though he's evil, I will say I do think he loved them in his own sick way.
Mm-hmm.
But they're almost like trophies, I guess would be a good. You know what I mean? Because like a true ordinary man who has that problem of ego, he's living vicariously through the achievement and success of his children. So getting 1 back would be big to him, because he realizes that 1 is presumably the most powerful or the second most powerful, depending upon how you look at it. Although we learned through that episode that 1 has the unfair advantage. Well, we kind of already saw it, but we learned through Brenner that 1 has the advantage of eating people essentially and gaining their powers. Which means that, then talk about it, that means when he murked all those other psychic kids, he got all their powers. And anyone else he's murdered since. Although, not sure why he would take Fred's powers. I'm kidding. But nonetheless, still more food source, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, just the fact that they were using 11 to look for one, and somehow she stumbles upon the Soviets while, she's looking for everything because that's what she was told to do. And then the Demogorgon is obviously there and kind of like crosses both of those, situations. And then that's where, everything from season 3 and now into season 4 happens, where you are in Russia and you do have these projects going on. And it's wild to like think about, like, all along they were just on the hunt for the OG source of Brenner's,
Well, it makes you think he was hunting them, but did the rest of his scientists and staff think they were hunting Russians still?
Right.
You know what I mean? Because he's a man who very much keeps secrets.
And speaking of Russia, we haven't even really talked about how, Hopper, Joyce, and the Russian crew are out there, and, the big ass Demogorgon goes and murks all the Ruskies out there, and then they hear more squealing, and we just have an open heart surgery on another Demogorgon in a room, and Hopper goes bop, bangs it, and then you walk into a room and you have Demogorgons, Demodogs, and a
die
piece.
so easily though, because we're not
right
died by gunfire. That kind of, unless he shot it like in the chest. Also, did you catch where that one Russian like guard that was like in charge? Did you recognize that actor's face at all?
No.
He was one of the brothers from Daredevil. The two like
really
Russian. Yeah.
Okay, interesting.
He was the guy who said like, "Don't shoot, hold your fire." When the
yeah.
Like, yeah, I was like, "Yo." Yeah, it was weird.
That's cool.
Little
I think the reason the Demogorgon died is because it did have like its chest open, and I think Hopper just.
I think he shot it in the chest, but
yeah,
shot it in the head. So I'm just gonna tell myself he shot it in the chest, and we'll go from there.
And then they walk into the room. You got Demogorgons, Demodogs, and a piece of the fucking Mind Flayer swirling around in these like amber test tube.
I want like a 5-minute backstory of just a bunch of Russian guys, like a little short of how they captured all this shit.
Or like, was it similar to like what your theory is of like one being, the OG, and then the rest of the kids being, cloned from one or whatever it may be? They've like cloned the Demogorgons and stuff like that, or did they just pull them from the Upside Down? It is an interesting thing that hopefully gets addressed in season 5.
Yeah, it's like, how much shit did they take when they ran from America back to Russia? Like, clearly a lot. And
it's like, how did they contain the Mind Flayer like that, or the Shadow Monster?
My only guess is they used either like I was gonna say like a thermos cup, no, or
it's like Danny Phantom.
Yeah. Or they picked some poor comrade and like got him, I don't know, like let it take over someone,
because that thing was alive and swirling around in there, which is how they realized.
Maybe they let it go into like one of the soldiers and then just kind of like threw him in a box and then killed him or let him starve, and then, you know what I mean, like,
yeah,
voila, because you don't really see the ground, but like, because how else would you capture that? Like, it's not going to fly into, like, if I hold a jar, it's not going to go into a jar.
Right. It's just wild that they had all of those things.
In the sense of, like, we're all very much curious how Soviet Russia was able to capture.
Yeah, like, and I think just in general, the whole Russian gate thing, because remember in season 3, like, they didn't have enough power because the gate was so thick for them to open the one in Russia when they were, like, laser beaming it, and then they move everything to Starcourt because the gate was more easily accessible.
Yeah, close to where the other gate was.
So that's an interesting thing that hopefully gets explained in season 5.
I think they just dragged the stuff because when they fled, they took stuff back with them because the Russians left before U.S. troops got there. So I think they just, I guess, took home some goodie bags of
here's your party favors from the Upside Down.
Some check-on suitcases, you
know. And then we get Joyce and Hopper almost getting it on.
They have phone call. What did this show this season? They like doing that. Like, characters are like reconnecting or maybe getting a little and then something just happens like right at the last second.
uh,
What is called as the kids, as the teenagers call it these days, cock blocking.
when that scene happened, my dad goes, "Oh, they're about to say Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice."
Hey yo.
But then obviously the episode kind of comes to a wrap with the plan going into place, and Max, Lucas, and Erica walking into the Creel house, and shit's about to pop off, ladies and gents. Shit's about to pop off in episode 9. But I thought episode 8, for it being like the penultimate episode for this season, was really well done. They tied a lot of stuff up together. They give you a big character death in Brenner, and it kind of gives you the plot thesis of what's to come for the finale. That was an absolute movie. And again, like, just the character development, the plot development, really well done. And
it was the length of a legit movie, mind you.
And I thought, like, the way they did it, where it's like, oh, we're gonna leave you on this cliffhanger, they made it so that, like, you wanted to dive right into that finale of them just walking into the house. But I really enjoyed this episode. I thought it was a perfect, like, get energized for a big time finale episode.
A lot of good 80s references too.
Yes.
If you've ever seen an action film, it's a pretty big one of the 80s. It's called Red Dawn. They literally parodied that. Very famous actor who's no longer with us, Patrick Swayze. He is the main protagonist along with Charlie Sheen. I know, very, very weird acting combo of that. Long story short, Dustin is literally wearing, Kyle, if you haven't seen this movie, you can just Google, like, Red Dawn, Patrick Swayze, and he's literally wearing the same thing that Dustin's wearing, the hoodie with the bandana. And they're all militaried out, just like Red Dawn. And unfortunately, a scene in episode 9, Kyle, that we like to forget, also plays out just like the ending of Red Dawn. And the flamethrower, you see more of it in episode 9. That's a direct reference to the 80s classic The Thing, which is a really cool horror movie.
Also, the hot wiring and hijacking of the trailer was electric. We got the return of Max's Michael Myers mask from season 2. Just a lot of fun references, like you said, in this episode that really made it, another installment in an epic season for season 4. Dylan, what would you say this episode gets in your book?
I would say the episode gets like a 9. It was a good build-up episode. There wasn't anything wrong. There was some action. It was good length. It really just builds up what is to come from 9, but it also brings things together. It does the whole season vibe of parallels and telling multiple stories in one at the same time, which is pretty cool. A 9. I think it's a solid score for episode 8. It's ironic 8's getting 9, but it is what it is.
Yeah, I'm gonna give this one a 9.3. Just like I said, it was a perfect, like, ready for war type of episode, and like you said, it brought parallels of so many different plot lines together. They made it so everybody didn't have to be together all at once to explain how things were going to go down. And I thought they did just a really good job of executing this episode and setting up a banger of a finale that Dylan and I will recap on Wednesday. So you got to tune into Wednesday's show for the finale of our Stranger Things Volume 2 recap there. I do have some fun info on Victor Creel in our streaming platform, Multiverse News and Notes. But before we get there, Dylan, it is time to dive into the MCU. Miss Marvel Episode 4 has released on Disney Plus, titled Seeing Red. And this episode, like all of the Episode 4s of the MCU shows on Disney Plus, left us with the ultimate cliffhanger, the ultimate just like... I audibly was, I was watching this episode on Wednesday, Dylan, and when it ended, I audibly said, there's no fucking way. there's no way that they're just going to end it right here.
Ain't no way.
They did a really good job with that. So we get Kamala and Muniba traveling to Karachi to reunite with Sana, who later reveals to Kamala that the bangle is trying to convey a message through the vision of the train. The next day, a masked Kamala goes to the train station to investigate, but gets attacked by Kareem, a member of our preseason homework, Dylan. He's a member of the Red Daggers, who I like the way that they did this, where the Red Dagger is not a person, it's a collective almost, and there's multiple Red Daggers. It's kind of like a group. I really like that.
It's so good that people are coming together and forming groups. It's so nice.
We love a good vigilante group.
It's true.
Who initially mistake Kamala for one of the clandestines. Kareem takes Kamala to the Red Dagger's hideout, which is in a Chinese food place where they push one of the stoves back and the wall pushes back and then opens up.
If my hideout was in a restaurant, let alone some scrumdiddlyumptious Chinese food, I'd be a lot more heavy.
You'd look like Zero the Hutt.
Oh no! Why we gotta go back to him?
So Kareem takes Kamala to the hideout, where Kamala learns from their leader Waleed, who I love this actor who played Waleed. He did a fantastic job. He's very, very fun. Hopefully he ends up in more projects, whether it's, anywhere, because he's awesome. And Waleed says that the clandestines are trying to break the veil of Noor, and we learned last episode that Noor is, light, which separates the Jinn's dimension from the human world in order to expand and take over, which to me, they referred to this as realms in the episode.
Yeah.
And a lot of people were like, well, is that the same thing as like a universe or a multiverse or whatever? I think they use this term specifically to differentiate what realm and a universe is. And Eric Voss did a really good breakdown of this on New Rockstar's YouTube channel, where you picture a singular universe is kind of like a neighborhood.
Yeah.
And a realm is like, the yard, the sidewalk.
Okay.
Like the ancillary pieces of what makes up that neighborhood.
Oh.
So it's like a smaller piece within the larger scale of things. So it separates them from the human world, and it kind of sounded like almost like an incursion, like what we saw in Multiverse of Madness and what we saw in What If, which was also interesting. But the clandestines, obviously, they got arrested in the last episode, and we cut to the DODC Supermax prison, Dylan. The Supermax prison, where allegedly that's where Emil Blonsky, a.k.a. Abomination, is being held.
Yeah.
So this got me thinking.
That's where Baron Zemo is being held too, right?
That's where Zemo is at. That's where like everybody of note is at. This got me thinking. Could they be? Could one of the clandestines, most notably, the leader, get recruited by Val for the Thunderbolts?
Yeah, I mean, she do be recruiting. Their doors are always open. I don't think they really have that much of a screening policy.
Now, I will say, it was very interesting that the clandestines were able to escape the Supermax prison as easily as they did.
Unless they wanted them to escape.
Bum, bum, bum. But I also think when you go back and watch it, they're kind of like in the underbelly of like a passageway. They weren't exactly in the prison yet. So that might have made it easier for them to escape. But I gotta say this. And this, I was telling Dylan this before the pod. It's rare for me to have a big gripe with a show.
Yeah, Kyle's usually the person I'm the griper usually.
I'm the optimist. Yeah. I gotta say, the clandestines,
boring.
They're a very boring villain. Like, they are very Flag Smasher-esque.
I think Disney went too safe with them, too plain.
It almost feels like they had so much more written for them, and then they just kind of yanked a bunch of it out and gave you bare bones to really just like progress the story, which is fine, but they're giving me big Flag Smasher vibes.
Yeah, those guys suck too. I forgot how bad they were. Oh man, unlocked a core memory. I forgot how much I did not like that either. They were so bad, dude. Two trash groups. They tried to like pin them up, and you were like, I'd rather go against the Girl Scouts of America. Like these groups fucking blow. Not the Girl Scouts. They give me cookies. They're awesome.
Yeah, the clandestines, they are not doing much for me. Like, there's no real character development with them whatsoever. And it's like, how are they this smart? How are they this good at doing things?
It's ironic, too. There's no character development for characters who have been alive for a couple hundred years.
Right. It's just like, can we get a little something from them? Like, I just wish we had a little more like story on them in particular. And who knows, maybe we'll get it at some point when they get sent back to their dimension or get murked. But the clandestines are just not doing it for me.
They're not your cup of tea.
No.
They're probably not anyone's cup of tea. I know that's one of the. I actually was reading a review, and someone else said the same thing you just said. People don't really care for them.
Kamala begins training with the Red Daggers to master her powers, but they get interrupted by the clandestines. A chase ensues during which Waleed kills one of the clandestines, but is fatally stabbed by Najma. As Kamala and Kareem fend off the clandestines, Kareem kills one of them, and Najma accidentally stabs the Bengal. And we get a rift, Dylan, with some purple rips in the universe that at first glance I was like, ooh, that's Doctor Strange-esque. But then I went back, and when I saw it again, the tears in which the Bengal created looked a lot more like when Clea in the post-credit scene of Doctor Strange sliced open everything.
Yes.
And it sends Kamala into a vision of the partition at the train station. And that's where the episode ends, is Kamala stuck in this vision during, that final train getting out of partition and everything. And this episode had a lot of Easter eggs, more Ant-Man references. There was an Ant-Man mural in Karachi.
Dude, I'm telling you, they're like, this is their way of like, he's real.
This episode was awesome. Like, I thought the brain fart.
Big brain fart. I was reading something, and then I heard you just stop talking. Oh man.
The plot development was really good in this episode for Kamala, and like her just, kind of figuring out more about herself, more about the powers, and, kind of becoming more of a hero. I will say she's racking up boys in this series like Infinity Stones. She got 3 men after her heart now. And I also loved when she first meets Kareem. He basically is like, oh, do all Americans act like this? And she says, how do you know I'm not Canadian? That's because Iman Vellani is actually Canadian. So I love that little Easter egg nugget there of real life Miss Marvel. But
this is actually just our first superhero like Bachelor themed show. He's just gonna pick a winning contestant at the end.
And I love that there's more development of her mom kind of coming to terms of she needs to be a nicer mom, and she needs to be there more for Kamala because she just wanted her mom there for her when she was growing up. And
your mom's like nice, but I understand her mom's point of view, but at the same time I'm like, damn.
I also loved the scenery and the visuals of Karachi. I thought it looked really, really dope. But again, like the clandestine thing is very strange to me. I don't know how they're gonna tie them into why they're after the Bengal and all this stuff in 2 episodes, and I think there's gonna be a lot of things for the DODC to address in these final 2 episodes.
DODC, I feel like you're just gonna start rapping, dude.
I don't know what you heard about me.
I'm waiting for like the mixtape.
But I'm from the motherfucking DODC.
Exactly, it flows.
But yeah, I really enjoyed this episode, and the way the cliffhanger happened. It was, like I said, I audibly said, "There's no fucking way There's no way that this
Ain't
is
no
ending
way.
right here. And I like it's continuing to leave you on a full-blown series cliffhanger where you don't know where these final 2 episodes are going to take us, which I'm kind of enjoying. You know, a lot of the shows we've gotten from the MCU, it's like, oh, this is where it's going to kind of head to.
Yeah, definitely predictable themes. But it is cool to see something that's not maybe as predictable because they've changed her source material so much already, so you don't know where they're going to go.
Right. And, you know, with this cliffhanger, I'm going to bring it up here before we even get into reviewing the episode as, you know, giving our score and everything. But the cliffhangers from episode 4s on Disney Plus have been absolutely wild. So episode 4 of WandaVision, Dylan, was when we saw Zombie Vision with the stone kind of yoinked out of his head. We had, you know, John Walker going full-blown serial killer and stabbing Homeboy with the shield and being in, you know, the plaza with the bloody Captain America shield.
That was a good one.
Loki, we had the reveal of all the different Loki variants in the Void. Episode 4 of What If was, you know, the Doctor Strange episode, which you and I both agreed was the best episode of What If as a whole. Episode 4 of Hawkeye was the reveal of our girl Yelena Belova. Episode 4 of Moon Knight was the reveal of Tuaret, our hippo goddess queen. And then episode 4 of Miss Marvel was her getting transported back to the partition train and, you know, seeing everything going on there.
That was interesting.
Where would you rank the episode 4 cliffhangers?
I would say Loki or Doctor Strange would probably have to be at the top, just because of the Loki show kept you kind of guessing the entire time, and it was like really good cosmic. And then same thing with What If, there were episodes that you were like, and then there are also episodes where you're like, whoa, peak. And I feel like the Doctor Strange part of What If, you were like peak.
For sure. I think I would go...
I do like the John Walker thing, though.
I was going to say, that one's probably number 3 for me.
I would say that, too. It was iconic to see, like, that shield depicted in that light. Also, not for nothing, it's a pretty stone cold image.
Yeah. That was, like, the darkest to that point that we had seen Marvel/Disney get on Disney+.
Yeah. That's pretty dark.
I think I would rank them Loki, then I would go John Walker, you know, in Falcon and Winter Soldier. Then I think my number 3 is Moon Knight, because that was kind of like the like that point happening was like the big what the fuck is going on moment, and then it led you into what was going to happen in episodes 5 and 6. Then I would go What If, WandaVision, because WandaVision was a little different too, where it was 9 episodes rather than 6. But episode 4 of WandaVision was like the thing that like got your brain going like, oh, this is what's happening in this show.
Okay.
And then I would go Miss Marvel and then Hawkeye, because I think the Yelena reveal was kind of dulled in a way, because everybody knew that Florence Pugh was cast in the show. So you knew at some point she was going to show up.
That's true.
But her reveal was still pretty badass, and that fight scene was dope.
Yeah, it's just one of those things where, like you just said, you knew via IMDb leak and the cast leaks. Like, you do it, not even leak, confirmed. You knew she was going to be in the show. So it was just kind of like a matter of when.
And it was kind of, you know, expected after everything that happened in Black Widow and, you know, them showing Clint's face on the iPad in the post-credit scene. But Miss Marvel episode 4, I thought, did a really good job of, you know, progressing this story, and I'm excited to see where it goes in these final 2 episodes. I think I'm going to give this episode, and for all accounts, Dylan, you know, we typically talk about the Rotten Tomatoes scores and everything. Miss Marvel has been certified fresh from the beginning, and it's been very highly rated, like in the 96% range, which I think for a character so unknown to a lot of casual Marvel fans and a relatively new Marvel character in general. I think that's really awesome, and a good, trajectory forward for the MCU Disney Plus shows, that you can introduce somebody who doesn't have a massive backstory or a big fan following like a Loki or a Wanda or Bucky and Sam from Falcon and Winter Soldier, and you can still be wildly successful with the character, like we've seen, I think, with the last 2 projects on Disney Plus with Moon Knight and now Miss Marvel.
Yes, they're 2 like more cult heroes in terms of like they're not. They're mainstream enough, but they're not Captain America, Spider-Man mainstream.
Yeah, like I think Miss Marvel's first appearance was like 2013 or 2015, so like she's super new in the grand scheme of things.
But he wasn't relevant until more recently. He was a background character.
Yeah, like Moon Knight was around in the 70s, but
he's got what? He was rewritten like 9 times, or like his story was changed.
He is that cult hero.
You don't get your story rechanged that many times if you're that popular.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like if you're that popular, it changes, but not 9 times.
So I think I'm gonna give Miss Marvel episode 4. I'm gonna give it an 8.6. I enjoyed it. It was. I like the length of it too.
Clandestines are weighing it down.
Clandestine arc is just still so head scratcher to me. I like that the DODC prison was introduced.
Me.
I like that they introduced that prison, because that's also, Dylan, where She-Hulk is like working out of, that we saw in the trailer. So I think that's also pretty important, since that's the next big series that we're getting from the MCU. But I really enjoy Iman Vellani as Kamala Khan, as Miss Marvel, and I think these next 2 episodes are going to be unpredictable as any show we've seen, which is exciting, and I think kind of refreshing for the MCU as a whole, to kind of give you some unpredictability going into finale-esque episodes.
I'd give the episode like a 7. I think the show is staying where it is for me. I don't dislike it. Obviously, 7 out of 10 is not terrible. It's not one of my favorite ones. It's no fault to the young actress who's playing Kamala Khan. I really actually do enjoy her acting at times, and I do like the culture difference. The whole villains and everything.
I think this episode was very much more so like breadcrumb-esque than previous episode 4s.
Yeah.
Like they laid a lot out for you, and now we just have to follow the trail in these final 2 episodes, rather than some sort of big reveal happening like we've seen in the past.
Yeah, pretty much. It's like, I don't know. I can't put my finger on like why. It's just, the show excites me, but not as much as I thought it would. But then again, I also didn't know much about the project, and I wasn't looking forward to it as much as I did like a show like Loki or What If. So for what it is, it's doing fine. It's just not my super cup of tea. Although neither was the U.S. Agent one or Hawkeye. I didn't exactly love either. So Disney shows have been hit or miss for me, and that's okay.
And I think this show too is more of a setup show, because we know Miss Marvel is going to be in Captain Marvel 2.
Yeah, it's literally, it is the
origin story.
Yeah, if it's for the purpose of bringing a character into existence in the universe, I'm not gonna hate it for that. I'm gonna respect it for that.
With that being said, Dylan, let's get to everybody's favorite segment. It is the streaming platform Multiverse News and Notes, brought to you by our homies over at Pickup. You guys can go to playpickup.com, start playing the hottest headlines in sports, rack up points on your fan profiles, cash them in for prizes on the Pickup Marketplace. Go to playpickup.com now and start playing those headlines. Dylan, we got some streaming platform business news
Ayo.
which is very fun. So via WHIP Media, WHIP, which is, the global content licensing ecosystem, transformation process. That's what they kind of pride themselves on. They have the user satisfaction percentage rates for the major streaming platforms. Now, I will say, I am pleasantly surprised that every platform of note out there is well over 50% user satisfaction rate. So I'm going to list these off. You tell me if you agree or disagree with the percentile for each of these. I'll go in reverse order from bottom to top. At the bottom, Peacock at 68%.
You're going from worst, worst?
I'm going from worst to best.
I haven't used Peacock, so I can't really.
I've used it a couple times, simply because a sports league.
I haven't touched it.
A sports league that we cover here, the PLL, used to be on NBC for their, broadcast partner. So games were on Peacock. Peacock it's typically like all the NBC stuff. So you can watch sports? Like Sunday Night Football recaps. The Olympics were on Peacock.
Does it do live sports or no?
I don't know. I get Peacock free through my cable, so that's the only reason I really have it. And I know The Office is on there, so a lot of people got Peacock to go watch The Office.
I just feel like if The Office wasn't on there, it wouldn't be relevant. And if it doesn't have live sports, I guess it probably does kind of suck. I mean, I haven't even touched it yet. I have no desire to go on there.
We did get that show recommendation from one of our listeners with Craig Robinson, that show is on Peacock that we'll eventually check out. But
yeah, no, you're
I
right.
think the struggle with Peacock is that it is one of those providers that's for a cable TV network, NBC, and it's eerily similar. I think if Peacock wants to take another jump, they have to put some sort of original content out there, kind of like Hulu. Hulu is that for ABC, but Hulu has also put out original content in the past that was exclusive to Hulu and still doing it now. That show with Selena Gomez is a Hulu exclusive original.
Yeah, you have to. I feel like you 100% nailed it. You have to have exclusive content, or you have to at least have a very broad selection. But now that I think about it, all the good ones, in my opinion, and we'll talk about it as you go on, have their own content. So.
Yeah, and I think what Peacock did, releasing a lot of the hidden archives and extended editions of The Office, was a good step. But you got to do that continuously. You can't just make your
show.
Right. So Peacock, but being at 68% for a platform that I think a lot of people don't relatively use, I think that's pretty decent. Yeah. The next one surprised me a little bit. Second from last, Discovery Plus, which is all of your HGTV, Discovery Channel.
Disney Plus.
What's that?
Isn't that part of Disney Plus or no?
National Geographic.
Oh, okay.
So Discovery Plus is Discovery Channel, HGTV, TLC, Food Network, all of those things under one umbrella.
This one makes sense to me because, quite frankly, most people probably either have this through cable or they just watch that stuff on cable. For example, I used to watch HGTV when I was bored and it was on cable, but I would not go out of my way to watch it on that's just me talking. Honestly.
Yeah. There's some things on there that intrigue me. I don't have Discovery Plus. I think the price is good. I think it's only $5 a month. So that plays really well, I think, for the consumer.
This seems like a YouTube could easily replace this. This, you know what I mean? You could Google blah 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 Alaska HCT episode, type in YouTube, it's gonna come up. You know what I mean? Probably.
I think what they do well, though, is they do put exclusive stuff out there for their programming. So, me being a big 90 Day Fiancé fan, thank you to the pandemic for that one. Dude, it is my guilty pleasure show. They put exclusive behind the scenes stuff. They put exclusive, so they have a spin-off series called Pillow Talk, which is former couples that were on 90 Day Fiancé. They watch the show and react to the episode. Yeah. They put extended versions of that on there. For Food Network, there's exclusive Food Network shows and stuff like that. So I think that's what Discovery Plus is doing really well. I think it's just a matter of not a lot of people know it exists.
Okay. I mean, once again, it's another thing that I haven't really used. So for me, it's just
And me being somebody who has cable that still has all these channels,
that's what I'm saying.
I'll just tune in and watch on cable for, what I want to watch.
My parents as well still have cable, so if I'm ever downstairs, I can just. That's why it hasn't been prevalent to me.
The next one surprises me a lot because you and I both feel like this streaming platform is really, really good, and it is pretty much strictly exclusive and original programming. Prime Video also at 72%.
That makes sense because I feel like, hear me out. Like I agree with you, by the way. That should be high. That makes sense because for as many good shows as they have, they're all kind of like low key, and I do feel like it probably has a handful of shows that are like bangers.
Yeah,
but that's really it. Quite a few of the shows and movies on there you have to rent still. Like you've probably seen that when you go through, and I feel that's what probably brings it down because if you search up a movie, Prime's most likely going to have it, but is it covered by your Prime membership or do you have to rent it for an additional $2-3? And that could be a turn off for some people.
And I think some people forget too that with your Prime subscription you get Prime Video.
Prime Video, right? Yeah.
So I think that kind of holds it back a little bit, but like you said, there's like Jack Ryan, Hunters, which is the first show we ever reviewed on this podcast.
Yeah.
Invincible is on there.
You ever watch that?
I haven't watched that yet.
Good.
The Boys is on Prime, right?
Yes, The Boys, Invincible, Hunters. There's an anime that's very popular called Vinland Saga. It's on there.
Jack Ryan. There's another show on there that I'm like blanking on the name of it, but there's hidden gem bangers. You had Coming to America 2 was on Prime Video when it first released, so there's a lot of bangers on Prime Video that Dylan and I will probably crawl down that rabbit hole pretty soon.
Yeah, agreed. I think it's what you said also probably better reasoning. People forget they have it, and then also the fact that they don't have everything because they can't. They have everything, but not everything is included in the Prime. Because I've often gone on there when I'm watching the Boys or watching Invincible, and I'm like, oh, I wonder if they have like this classic movie I want to watch. And it's like they do, but you have to rent it for $2. And I would rent it if it's nowhere else on streaming services that I have. I'll rent it, but I'm not going to rent it.
And the Prime Video sports fans out there, you get Thursday Night Football on Prime Video as well.
It's true.
The next one, Apple TV Plus, comes in at 76%. Now, I recently, and I've talked about this a ton, probably like last year at this point, stumbled upon the fact that my Fire Stick has Apple TV Plus available. And I've been told there are some hidden gem bangers similar to Prime Video on Apple TV Plus, whether it's movies and or shows. I probably just have to crawl down that rabbit hole, but it's another one of those things that I think a lot of people forget that Apple TV Plus exists, and two, they don't really market their programming to people the way some of the other big platforms do.
I think Ted Lasso is going to help that program grow and how popular it was.
I agree. I think Ted Lasso, I think the show C with Jason Momoa and Dave Bautista, that's going into its final installment. That movie Cherry with Tom Holland is on Apple TV Plus. There's a really good Tom Hanks movie that if you're in for a good cry, you can check that out. There's some hidden bangers on Apple TV Plus, and I think it's just a matter of perusing the platform more.
I think it's just a matter of quality content is why these, not judging any of these lower ones, but like there's so many streaming services as we are proving with this little exercise, and it's a matter of like, is it worth my $5, $7, $10, $12 a month to watch show A and nothing else, or does this service have show A, B, C and also has a collection of movies that I enjoy?
Correct. The next one, I think this one plays a lot into the hands of soccer fans and live sports fans. Paramount Plus at 79%.
Pretty good considering it's a newer.
It's like the newest of them all. I'm pretty sure outside of like Discovery Plus, but I think Paramount Plus is the newest of everything, and that coming in at 79%.
Because the sports, like you just said, the sports is going to bump that one up, rightfully so.
Sports bumps it up. You have, from the kids side of things, all the Nickelodeon properties are on there. There's some new stuff out there like the Halo series that I've heard mixed reviews on. I've heard good and bad things about it. And I think Paramount Plus is starting to kind of get its feet wet with a lot of things, and I think they did a good job marketing.
Well, it has the luxury of being like Paramount. That's not like a nobody company. It wasn't like when Netflix and Hulu came up. They are what they are. Whereas HBO and Paramount, they come from they come from TV and movie essentially, and then
And I think what Paramount does better than Peacock, because Paramount is obviously the streaming platform for CBS as the major network. What they do is, they have your nostalgia factor. They have the original programming. They have the sports. And they have movies.
And they have new TV shows.
Correct. So I think that's one thing. And they market better, I think. You have that mental image burned in your brain of, the snowy mountain with SpongeBob, Jeff Probst, a whole bunch of, VH1 and CBS properties all on a mountain.
Yeah.
You think of that commercial immediately, and it's like, oh, that's Paramount.
And what did they do for their first independent show? They made a show out of one of the most iconic video game character of all time. Like, if you loosely played PC or Xbox at any point in your young adult life, I'm talking my age, Kyle's age, a little younger, or even up to 30, 35, you know what Halo is.
Mm-hmm.
You might not know what it is, but you played it. I'm sure Kyle, at once in his life, has played Halo, whether it was at school. Halo
when I was in 9th grade, dude, when I had one of my classes, we had the computer servers going. We were playing Capture the Flag against different classes.
And that's incredible. So Halo has this nostalgic factor that many kids and now adults have experienced. It's very iconic. So it's like, that's a great marketing on their point. I'm giving them all the applause in the world. That's brave. It's good marketing though, because Halo's a big entity to take on.
So Paramount Plus clocks in at 79%. Let's get into the big four, Dylan. Not far behind at 80%. Netflix.
That makes sense. I figured Netflix would not be in the top three because recently their quality over quantity has dropped. They still produce bangers, obviously. Squid Games,
Stranger Things, Umbrella Academy.
People like Money Heist.
Hustle just came out.
They have so many originals compared to some of the other ones that maybe that's why they don't focus as much as they should on certain projects. And, obviously, if you have 12 projects compared to let's say one of the other ones we talked about only has 3, then Netflix has to divide its money up. And from what I read, the new Stranger Things series costs a lot of money, which will make them money. But there are other shows that might not draw as well. So or movies.
And I think
also makes movies. Sorry to cut you off.
Oh no, I think with Netflix too, the one thing that they have over everything except for one of these platforms, that's kind of where your comedians go to get those big time comedy specials as well. And I think that's a nice little niche thing in their back pocket that they can hang on to.
Well, is they do okay. Netflix, because not all of them do it. They do their own animation, whether it's English animation like cartoon, or if you want to do the cartoon anime version in Japan, they do their own stuff. Hit or miss, but anime is a popular medium, and it's smart marketing on their half to do that.
And user satisfaction percentage, we knew Netflix was going to be down because 1, they've increased their pricing, and 2, they've cracked down on password sharing, and users don't like that.
I still don't understand for the life of me why that was green-lighted. That's the dumbest idea in the world. I understand you might be losing revenue, but you have the nostalgia and the long-term tenure and the fact that even after all of this, you're still not in the bottom. Why would you... if they didn't do that, they would still... You know what I mean? I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Really sense.
Number 3, clocking it at a whopping 87%, Hulu.
Oh, it makes me excited that you haven't said HBO Max yet.
I think Hulu, not an ad, Hulu has live sports. And I think
it's simple. I feel like all these years they knew what they were. They knew what they were. They were the rival to Netflix, and they were like, "Hey, Netflix, we're gonna get live sports," like Kyle said, not an ad. and hey, guess what? We're gonna make our own stuff, which they have a couple bangers.
How I Met Your Father now on Hulu with the Lord and Savior
And
Queen
they have a bunch
Hilary
of
Duff.
classic nostalgia TV shows, and they also
Yep.
have movies, and they also have their own anime. They have actually a pretty big selection of anime, which is popular. And Hulu also is a lot cheaper than Netflix.
I think the one thing that I'm shocked about this by is obviously you've talked about it in the past on this show. Um, the commercial factor with Hulu.
I do hate that. Although Netflix wants to go that route.
Yeah, which is also ugh. I think it shocks me that it being at 87%. I'm curious how much of that 87% is paying for Hulu Premium to avoid the commercials.
Although I recently discovered, because I don't have Hulu. I guess technically I do, but I use my friend's account, and he recently downgraded to the free one. And I realized when you watch certain things, it does give you like, watch this 1 minute and 30-second ad, but you don't get any ads for like the next episode and a half. So there are ways to combat it. Because what I would do, since I was watching the show, and I would do that option whenever it came up, and I would have like 50 minutes, 40 minutes of uninterrupted. So in that minute and a half I had, I made sure I wouldn't pause it. I would go run upstairs, go take a piss, go get water, get a snack, run back downstairs, watch it. But I do agree, it is annoying, the ads, but unfortunately that could be 10 years from now. All of these services might have ads.
Number 2 at 88%, Disney Plus.
Yes, we've won HBO.
I think Disney Plus does a really good job. I like their kind of like just their layout of the streaming platform, whether you're on TV, computer, phone, mobile device, whatever it may be. Their original programming is great. They have a wide selection of things, and you can kind of get just a variety of programming, and most of it's either all original or you can tap into the nostalgia factor with some old stuff as well.
Disney's a good bang for your buck because you can pay the elite option and pay like $20-something a month, and you get literally ESPN Plus, Hulu,
and Hulu.
Not Hulu Plus though, just regular Hulu.
Yeah.
Which sucks. I wish they had an option. Maybe they do now. A feature where it's like $21 a month or something, and you could get Hulu Plus. But you get all three. I do like Disney. Kyle's right. You get nostalgia. There's tons of nostalgia. I think Disney's a must if you have children and you want them to experience like any child did, like Disney. And it's a lot easier than going out and like renting or buying movies nowadays, where you can just pay the $12, $15 a month and have access to every Disney movie possible, plus all the original content. And they are starting to cater to adults and have like a 14 plus, almost like an M section. Going forward,
which I think was very smart by them.
Yeah, very smart. And you also have Marvel, Star Wars, actual Disney,
National Geographic.
National Geographic. You have movies, shows, shorts, documentaries, everything. So that's a good base. The next one we haven't said yet. I'll let you say it. That just makes it. I knew that was going to be either one or two before we even send the list, just because of how the sheer amount of content on the next one you're about to read.
HBO Max, Dylan, number 1, The King of the Castle, clocks in at 94%.
That's no surprise, because before it was a streaming service, HBO was a premium channel. You went out of your way to get that on your cable package, and it was a big deal because that's where like newer movies would be shown like a year-ish after release in movie theaters. They'd go on HBO Max, be like one of the you would see some films that have won awards or should have won awards. Like I always joke to Tyler, I always say HBO Max has like the moviest of movie selections, and by that I mean like you dim the lights. Kyle brings over popcorn and we watch like a feature length, like legit, like Martin Scorsese approved type of film, like a true film. I'm not knocking any of the other ones. They're just because they have obviously cheesy films in there too, but they have so much sheer selection of just movies that have already been made. And then you couple in the fact that they have their own content, and they're also partnered with DC now. So if you like superhero stuff, they got DC content. They also are partnered with Studio, what's it called? Jalami. I forget the really famous, like the Spirited Away, like those kind of films.
Yeah.
So it's got a little slice of that. It's partnered with, I think, Sesame, right, or something.
Yeah, they have Sesame Street.
Like that's cool. You got movies. You got Sesame Street for the kids. You got a little bit of anime.
You have your classic HBO. With The Wire. You have what's the freaking mob thing? God,
Sopranos.
Farts. Yeah, Sopranos is on there.
Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones. You
You have new movies like Batman, Dune, The Fast and Furious. You have Westworld.
In the Heights was on HBO Max.
Free Guy. Friends was on there.
So there's a lot of variety on HBO Max, and I think their platform, just their like database wise of user friendliness is really good.
They have HBO Max Originals, which is them. They have DC, Sesame Workshop, TCM, which is like classic stuff Kyle was talking about, Studio Gilby, Cartoon Network, OG Cartoon.
That's right.
Adult Swim. What was this? Cartonito? I don't know. That's like kid stuff. And they also have Looney Tunes.
Yeah.
TV Looney Tunes.
And Peacemaker.
Yeah.
One of the best shows we've reviewed this year.
That's a pretty iconic list. So they have everyone's fighting for like the nostalgia factor, and they were like F it, we're gonna get OG Cartoon Network for all the older people like Kyle and I now, and missing the Cartoon Network when it's Ads Prime, because I was looking at their they have quite a few selections in their Cartoon Network. Like they had Ed and Eddie, they had Teen Titans, they had The Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy, they had
Cow and Chicken, I think, is on there.
Codename Kid Next Door, Adventure Time, Teen Titans, I just said that, but like they have Rick and Morty.
Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends, I think, is on there as well.
Yeah. They have Samurai Jack, Robot Chicken, Rick and Morty, The Boondocks. Great show.
Great show.
Samurai Jack.
Yeah, there's a ton of stuff on HBO Max, which I think, plays into them being number one on the user satisfaction.
Yeah. And unlike some of the streaming services, because they're not partnered with the movie aspect of it, HBO has the advantage of they get movies released to the Batman.
Right.
So
kudos to HBO Max being number one in the user satisfaction rate.
I agree with that full-heartedly. That's one last small point is that's my...
I think the top two nailed it.
Yeah.
Dylan, Spotify now allows users to find out what song will save them from Vecna. They made a whole playlist, and when you click on the playlist, they said whatever song is number one is the song that's going to save you from Vecna.
I'll have to click on that when we're done in a minute.
The next thing here that we have, The Boys Season 4 will start filming in August.
Ayo.
We have some fun X-Men stuff here for you, Dylan. One of your favorite characters, obviously, Wolverine.
Wolverine.
And somebody that you brought up a while back when we were talking about who we'd want to see play Wolverine.
Was it Taron Egerton?
It is, Dylan. He confirms he's met with Kevin Feige about a role in the MCU, and when asked about Wolverine, he smiled and said, quote, "Hopefully if it does come around, they'll give me a shot."
Yeah, how about that? And how about, speaking of MCU, you can also say this, how about the thing you sent me with Howard Stern?
Yeah, that was the next thing I was going to get into. Howard Stern on a hot mic going into his Sirius XM radio shows, summer break.
Tell them it works, but shop TommyJohn.com/SXM right now for 20% off your first order. I mean, get 20% off right now at TommyJohn.com/SXM. TommyJohn.com/SXM.
That's the thing.
See site for details.
But I don't even believe me. I'm fucking miserable about it. I don't even.
You listen to the Stern Show on your radio.
Because I want to have a free Sunday. Because I'm an asshole. But that's what I did on America's Got Talent. So.
That's right. You listen to the Stern Show on your radio.
Are you excited about it?
Well, yeah, I called Robert Downey Jr. and I said like how to do like I was asking him acting techniques. Do you have a number for John?
You think it was on purpose?
I don't know. I mean, we all know the severity of leaking things with the MCU. Like, they've got that red laser on you at all times. Howard Stern on a hot mic talking to one of his staff members, asking him if he's working this summer, said, "Yeah, I'm working on that Doctor Doom project with Favreau. We just got the script and we're reading it over." That's insane to me.
It's fucking mental to me. I do think low-key that I do think that it was intentional, just because of like what you just said, of how critical they are to leaking. And I feel like Howard Stern, being a man who has been in radio for more than my lifetime, he knows how to, or at least someone knows how to like tread along the lines of confidentiality. The man probably knows. I mean, he's a pretty famous guy. He probably knows quite a few secrets, and he hasn't shared all of them. So and again, who knows? Maybe he accidentally did leak it. Either way, I hope it's true. That's all I care about.
I don't know if it's that he's a producer or whatever, or if he's in the movie, or...
My brother said, because Tyler sent me it the day after you sent me it, maybe he's in the movie, like, interviewing Dr. Doom, like, after he, like... Because in the comics, Dr. Doom, like, runs his own country, essentially. So maybe he's like, hey, Victor Von Doom, like, people say you rule with an iron fist, but your popularity in your own country is 95%. Like, how do you do it?
And he did say project, so I don't know if it's a movie or a show.
Does Howard direct a lot of things, or is he new?
I don't know. It's so random that Howard Stern is now involved with an MCU project. But obviously, we've talked about Dr. Doom a ton on this show. Shout out Mikey Faz. But it's something you and I will be keeping a close eye on, for sure, because this is inevitable to the Fantastic Four.
Yeah, no, it's...
And obviously Secret Wars as well.
Excuse me, it's going to change the way stuff happens. It kind of fits the current trajectory of the MCU as well, to go that route.
And it is very funny to me that, like, the casting, if you will, if you want to view it that way, for Howard Stern, of a lot of Disney projects being mainly Star Wars and the MCU, they're pulling a lot of, like, podcasters, they're pulling a lot of big media people to be in these shows as either extras or being in them. I think it's a very fun way of how they're kind of casting things. And if either of those properties want to cast Dylan and I as an extra or anything, we are more than open to the opportunity.
A volunteer's tribute.
Dylan, obviously, Multiverse of Madness is now on Disney+. And in its first 5 days on the platform, it was watched by 2.1 million households. The biggest debut for an MCU film on Disney+. Black Widow peaked at 1.1 million. Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings peaked at 1.7 million. Eternals at 2 million, and Multiverse of Madness at 2.1.
So that makes sense. Yeah, it's a pretty popular character. Both are popular characters, and I just feel like that people still don't want to fully resume going to movie theaters and some activities since COVID, which is, I'm not knocking them. So I just feel like the high release makes sense.
100%. And I think it was one of those movies where if you didn't get a chance to go see it, the hype around it was there, that everyone wanted to tap in and see what it was all about. The next thing I have here, Emma Roberts has been cast alongside Dakota Johnson and Sydney Sweeney in the Madam Web project, which is very interesting. Just racking up every possible human. And I feel like the way, with that casting, Dakota Johnson, Sydney Sweeney, Emma Roberts, it feels very much like potential for, like, variants.
Yeah. I'm excited.
Yeah, Madam Web's going to be electric. There's a very cool picture from behind the scenes of Obi-Wan Kenobi with Darth Vader and Obi-Wan posing together, like smiling, and their lightsabers crossing. So definitely check that out. We'll tweet that out from the StreamerSZN account. Kevin Feige confirms that Marvel Studios is returning to San Diego Comic-Con next month.
Love it.
And I watched an interview on Variety's YouTube channel, which you guys should definitely check out, with the Duffer Brothers. They are looking to edit Stranger Things Season 2 and change Will's birthday from March to May because they simply forgot. They said it had been 6 years since they wrote in Will's birthday and forgot that they did that.
To not change it. I like It makes the episode even more sad.
Yeah. They said May can fit in Winona's mouth. That would be us George Lucasing the situation. And allegedly, he said, they said, we have George Lucas things also that people don't know about. And I think, it's one of those things where with a project like Stranger Things, you're worrying about so many different things that you forget, and they had a fan, mail in a list of every single character's birthday from the show so that it doesn't happen again for them, which I think is pretty cool. Harley Quinn Season 3 releases in July on HBO Max. And the next thing here, Dylan, that I think is pretty neat in turn, it's not neat, but obviously we've had some pretty shitty things going on in this country lately that we haven't been able to really address, but some entertainment companies here via Matt Bellani that will cover expenses for employees to travel to other states for abortions. Netflix, Paramount, Comcast, Sony, Warner Brothers / Discovery, Amazon, and Disney.
What was the last one? Sorry, wash my hands.
Disney.
I think Dick's Sporting Goods.
Dick's Sporting Goods as well.
They would do that.
Those are the entertainment companies that are going to be doing that, and Warner Brothers / Discovery, I believe, falls under the HBO property. So, very nice tip of the cap to those companies who are supporting, their people that work for them, and this country kind of fucking sucks in a lot of ways. So,
it does suck, and I'm sorry that if you're a woman listener to the podcast or watching us live on not live, recorded on YouTube. Sorry it had to go this way. Sucks. There's not much else I can say because obviously you know more than me. I'm a man, you're a woman, and it's what I mean. Like, unfortunately, it's a fucking terrible situation. Country sometimes. I hope that you happen to live in a state like New Jersey that's more progressive. And if you don't, I'm sorry. There's not much else I can say, unfortunately. Hopefully they revisit it later in life, but who knows?
The last thing I have here, because Dylan, I always love asking you about your opinions on Game of Thrones.
Sicko.
George R.R. Martin confirms that he's involved with the Game of Thrones Jon Snow sequel series. Quote, Kit Harington brought the idea to us with his own team, and they are terrific.
It's kind of cool that the actor reached out.
Goes on to say that all 4 of these successor shows are still in the script stage. Nothing has been greenlit yet. The likelihood of all 4 series getting on the air, well, I'd love it, but that's not the way it works.
I'm excited actually for that more than the other one, because I was watching videos and the actor who plays Jon Snow, Kit Harington, when he read the final script and certain things, there's videos of him crying because he didn't know how to handle it because he was so dedicated to his character. And I think dedication pays off in sports and movies, so it could be worth the risk. And George R. R. Martin is the guy who wrote the books, so it's not a bad thing to have him on your side. Because the last season and a half did not have him because they went beyond where the book, because he's still writing the books, they went beyond where the book was, and they did their own creative touch, and they sucked. So.
I always love picking your brain about Game of Thrones.
No, dude, I appreciate that. But no, I'm excited for that.
That's all we got for you guys on this episode. Make sure
you leave reviews, and in the reviews, make sure you let Kyle and I know what you want us to watch. I had to make sure I get that out there first.
And make sure you're following us on the socials. Tweet at us some of the stuff as well. At StreamerSZN on Twitter, on Instagram. Follow Dylan on Twitter at Dylan Mazzola. Follow me at KBIZZL311. Check out the website, undergroundsportsphiladelphia.com. We'll have Westworld written reviews by our very own Pat Pitts coming to the website, so make sure you check those out. And like Dylan said, leave those reviews with recommendations for shows and movies on Apple Podcasts. Leave the 5-star ratings on Spotify, and leave those show recommendations or any theories, thoughts on Stranger Things, Miss Marvel, or anything we talked about in the streaming platform Multiverse down there in the YouTube comment section. Smash the like button, subscribe to the Underground Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel, click the bell icon, and make sure you're staying tapped in with us for everything streaming platform-wise on Underground Sports Philadelphia. This has been another episode of Streamer Season, the exclusive TV and movie podcast on the Underground Sports Philadelphia Podcast Network. Big thank you to Tomahawk Shades, Pickup, Kenwood Beer, and Beano Board. All their information linked in the show notes and the description on audio and YouTube. But until next time, we're going to go run up that hill, travel to the Upside Down, and figure out how to enter the Nord Dimension. But for Dylan, I'm KB. Keep on streaming.